A ripple of hope. In the small, quiet town of Willowbrook, the evening sun cast a warm glow on the white picket fences and neatly trimmed lawns. The neighborhood kids played together in the park, their laughter echoing through the streets. Life seemed perfect in this idyllic community. In one of the charming houses on Maple Street, Emily Thompson was busy preparing dinner for her family. She hummed along to her favorite song on the radio as she chopped vegetables for a savory stew. It had been a long day, and Emily couldn't wait for her husband, Jack, to return home from work so they could enjoy a meal together with their two children, 5-year-old Sarah and 6-month-old Noah. As Emily glanced at the clock, she realized it was nearly time for Noah's bath. Wanting to get a head start before Jack arrived, she quickly filled the bathtub with warm water, adding a few drops of lavender-scented baby wash. She then fetched Noah from his crib, where he cooed and giggled at her lovingly. Emily gently lowered Noah into the tub, making sure the water was just the right temperature. He splashed happily as she washed him, his big blue eyes sparkling with delight. Emily couldn't resist smiling at her baby boy, filled with gratitude for the beautiful family she had been blessed with. Suddenly, the phone rang in the living room, startling Emily. She hesitated for a moment, unsure whether to leave Noah unattended in the bathtub, but the persistent ringing convinced her it might be an important call. It'll only take a second, she thought, as she carefully placed a soft towel under Noah's head to support him. Emily rushed into the living room, her heart pounding as she picked up the phone. It was Jack, calling to let her know he was stuck in traffic and would be home later than expected. As they spoke, Emily's concern grew, her mind racing with thoughts of how she could manage dinner, bath time, and bedtime alone. During their conversation, a sudden silence fell upon the house, followed by a faint splash from the bathroom. Panic washed over Emily as she dropped the phone and sprinted back to the bathtub, fearing the worst. To her horror, she found Noah submerged under the water, his tiny body limp and lifeless. Emily's heart shattered into 1,000 pieces as she pulled him out of the tub, tears streaming down her face. She called 911 and desperately tried to revive him, performing CPR while pleading for him to wake up. Meanwhile, the emergency medical services EMS team had just finished a patient transport when they got the dreaded call to respond to an emergency involving a 6-month-old baby. Their hearts sank as they drove towards the address, silently praying that it would not be too late. When they arrived, Emily was in tears and frantic with worry about her beloved child. The EMS crew quickly took charge of the situation, determined to do everything within their power to save this tiny life, but all without success, until one of them detected a faint pulse. A miracle. Everyone sighed with relief as they carefully placed the baby onto a stretcher and transported him to the hospital where he could receive specialist care. Upon arrival at the hospital, the tiny patient remained unresponsive despite passionate efforts made to rouse him. With the child struggling to breathe on his own, the medical team moved quickly and purposefully, placing a breathing tube and providing vital ventilator support. Tears welled up in the eyes of every onlooker, and the little one's parents held on to each other tightly as the team worked to keep him alive. Due to the hospital's limited resources, the baby would need to be transferred to a higher level of care via air medical transport, heroically fighting to stay alive with every moment that passed. As the helicopter blades sliced through the air, the life flight team sprang into action. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, but the beauty of the scene was lost on Michelle, the flight nurse. Her thoughts were consumed by the mission at hand, saving the life of a 6-month-old baby who had nearly drowned. Michelle understood the importance of every second in situations like these. She couldn't help but think about what the baby's parents must be going through. The terror, the guilt, and the overwhelming sense of helplessness as they waited for help to arrive. It was a feeling she knew all too well from her own experiences. In the confined space of the helicopter, Michelle meticulously prepared the necessary equipment, making sure everything was ready for the infant's arrival. She thought about the countless hours spent training and numerous lives she had helped save during her career. But this time felt different. This time, it was personal. Years ago, her own nephew had faced a similar situation, an accident in the bathtub that left him fighting for his life. The memory of that day was etched into her mind, and she knew she couldn't let history repeat itself. She silently vowed to do everything in her power to save this little life. As the helicopter descended upon the small hospital, Michelle's heart pounded in her chest. She inhaled slowly to prepare herself for what was ahead. Once the crew landed, they wasted no time and swiftly made their way inside the hospital. As the doors opened, she caught sight of the frantic parents, their eyes filled with fear and hope. In that moment, Michelle knew she was not just a flight nurse. She was a lifeline for this family in their darkest hour. The baby was placed on the monitoring equipment and ventilator for transportation, and then loaded onto the helicopter. Michelle skillfully and purposely used her hands to provide care, while her mind rapidly considered various scenarios and potential outcomes. She knew that there was no room for error, and she refused to let this child slip away. Michelle was filled with determination as the helicopter flew to the large academic hospital. Saving countless lives before, she would do whatever it took to save this little one. Michelle knew in that fragile balance between life and death that she had to do whatever it took to give Noah the best chance of making a comeback. In Noah's case, every second counted. Thanks to Michelle's unwavering efforts, baby Noah was safely transported to a higher level of medical care where he received the best chance at recovery. The medical team ran tests and observed Noah for hours, then days. Heartbreakingly, it was concluded that the oxygen deprivation during the drowning incident resulted in neurological damage. As everyone's heart broke into pieces, it was hard to fathom how a soul so young and innocent could have suffered so much. But in the darkest of moments, sometimes miracles happen. And indeed, on day 3, something extraordinary happened. Baby Noah opened his eyes. Though unable to move because of the brain damage sustained during the incident, there was now hope for his future. Michelle's swift actions and the medical team's expertise gave baby Noah another chance at life. Even though he may never fully recover from what happened that fateful day, his story is a reminder that hope and miracles can be found even in the bleakest of moments. Take-home points. A 6-month-old baby can drown in a bathtub because of several factors. Lack of supervision. Babies at this age cannot sit up independently and can easily slip or tip over in the water. If left unattended, even for a moment, they can become submerged and unable to lift their head above water. Shallow water. It doesn't take much water for a baby to drown. As little as 2 inches or 5 centimeters of water can pose a risk if a baby's face is submerged. Experience. Babies cannot hold their breath and do not have the physical strength to move themselves out of a dangerous situation. Reflexes. When a baby's face comes in contact with water, it may trigger an involuntary reflex called the gasp reflex, causing the baby to inhale water involuntarily. To prevent such tragic incidents, it's crucial to supervise babies closely during bath time and never leave them unattended, even for a brief period. By using safety equipment such as non-slip bath mats and baby bath seats, the risks of inadvertent slipping and accidental submersion can be reduced.
If you are moved by this story and want to hear more incredible rescues, and discover powerful insights on how to prevent childhood accidents. You can find Lessons from the Sky, Life Flight Rescues, and the Fight for Child Safety on Amazon and most online bookstores in either audio or book format. Every story in Lessons from the Sky holds a valuable lesson. Some are filled with hope and happy endings, while others serve as heartbreaking reminders of why child safety is so important. Lessons from the Sky is the perfect gift for new and expecting parents, or anyone who wants to stay ahead of potential safety hazards. Emotional engagement drives action. Let these stories touch your heart and inspire you to protect the children in your life.